I saw a lot of I do it even when I can't say it. Especially this time of year when you have pleasures and on page 17, yeah, see, this is what you're about to
I think it's, that's the, good evening. So anything above $250,000, you have to purchase so in case it's safe.
Yeah.
We would only because it exceeds the estimate of our deposit cost exceeds the no, that's a regulatory requirement. Right. But we'll get this on. So that's in essence our insurance. So
I was wondering.
because there's probably a they have
You don't have to. You guys all ready to go?
Yeah.
We go by this law. This meeting of the Livingston City Commission is called to order. Roll call, please.
Chairperson
Present.
Commissioner Holden. Here. Commissioner Freeman.
Here.
Commissioner Ford.
Here.
Commissioner Sandberg.
Present.
Thank you very much. We will now have a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, looks like we have a short agenda, but I'm sure we'll figure out some way to bring it. All right. Our first order of business are consent items. Is there anything on the consent item list that any commissioners want to pull? Okay. Do I have a motion on the consent items?
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we pass the consent items.
I'll second.
A motion by Friedman, second by Hoagland. Roll call, please.
Chairperson Bennett?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Commissioner Friedman?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
4.
Commissioner Sanders?
4.
Motion passes. All right, we have a big proclamation evening this evening. So all the rest of the commissioners get a chance to relax for a moment. So we have 3 proclamations. The first one is Youth Week proclamation, and that is stated, whereas the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks has designated May 1st through May 7th, 2016 as Youth Week to honor America's junior citizens for their accomplishments and to give fitting recognition of the services to community, service, and nation. And whereas Livingston Elks Lodge number 246 will sponsor an observance during that week in tribute to the junior citizens of this community, and whereas no event could be more deserving of our support and participation than one dedicated to these young people who represent the nation's greatest resource and who in the years ahead assume the responsibility for the advancement of our free society, and whereas our youth need the guidance, inspiration, and encouragement which we alone can give in order to help develop those qualities of character essential for future leadership to go forth and serve America. And whereas to achieve this worthy objective, we should demonstrate our partnership with youth, our understanding of their hopes and aspirations, and a sincere willingness to help prepare them in every way for the responsibilities and opportunities of citizenship. Now, therefore, I, James Bennett, City Commission Chairperson, City of Livingston, Montana, do hereby proclaim the first week of May as Youth Week, and urge all departments of government, civic, fraternal, and patriotic groups, and our citizens generally to participate wholeheartedly in its observance. Dated 3rd, 2016. Our next proclamation is 2016 Arbor Day Proclamation, and it goes as stated. Whereas Arbor Day was first observed in 1872 and is now observed throughout the nation and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, countless other wood products, and whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And Livingston has nearly 4,000 city trees located on boulevards, public parks, and in the municipal cemetery, which provide an annual $589,197 worth of ecological, environmental, and aesthetic benefit, which equals the yearly average benefit of $152 per tree. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, James Bennett, Chairman of the Livingston City Commission, do hereby proclaim May 6th, 2016 as Arbor Day in the city of Livingston, Montana, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to for trees to gladden the heart and to promote the well-being of this and future generations. Dated the 3rd day of May 2016. A final proclamation is a proclamation for Public Works Week. Whereas Public Works infrastructure, facilities, and services importance to the health, safety, and well-being of the people of Livingston, Montana. And whereas such facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public work professionals, engineers, managers, and employees from state and local units of government and the private sector, who are responsible for and must plan, design, build, operate, and maintain the transportation, water supply, sewage, and refuse disposal systems, public buildings, parks, and cemetery, and other structures and facilities essential to serve our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens and civic leaders of Livingston to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest in the public works needs and programs of their respective communities, and to substantial contributions they have made to our community health and welfare. And whereas the year of 2016 marks the 56th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. And now, therefore, we do therefore proclaim and declare May 23rd to the 27th, 2016, Public Works Week in Livingston, Montana, dated this 3rd day, 2016. We do have one scheduled public comment for tonight, and that is Carla Pettit, Urban Renewal Agency Chair, regarding potential per diem for URA board members attending events, as well as discussion about underpass. Carla.
We just don't vote on proclamations, they just are?
Yes, the proclamations.
Okay, thank you.
You don't need to sign in, Carla, because you're on the scheduled part of the comments. But you can come back if you already signed in, it'll be great. Doing good.
So I am here to talk about per diem for when we attend special events. And I've been on the URA, I believe, I don't know, 7 years, 8 years, something like that by now. And each board member has attended special events and where we have to take time off of work. And when I take, at least for me, when I take time off of work, I have to replace myself by someone. So, you know, I'm not only giving up my time to go to all the regular meetings and do all the other stuff, but when we go to special events and we are asked to attend special events, and then the board chooses to say, yeah, we think that's important for us, we, as a collective, as a board, because we've each kind of done that now, believe that there's some sort of compensation that needs to be given to us. Last month I attended and so did Bob, the redevelopment symposium. I believe you were at it too, James. And that was a great symposium. It was about Brownsfield. I learned so much at that symposium. It was incredible what we learned. And then later on in the month, Bob also, I made a presentation at that meeting. And then later on in the month, Bob attended a REAP symposium, and I can't remember what that stands for, but it has to do with energy efficiency, and solar power was the main topic. And Bob was asked to give a brief overview of the different programs that the URA has for energy efficiency. And so, we're just asking for, a compensation on those days that we leave our business and we go to attend those and to represent the URA, which is the city of Livingston. So,
Do you have a recommendation?
I don't, because I don't know what the going rate or anything is. I figured the city would know. We wanted to present it at this meeting, and then you guys can discuss it and come up with, the last couple that we went to, there was no driving. They were both here in Livingston. We have been represented in, I think Kyra went to one in Helena, and before that there was one in Butte that I can't remember who attended that from our board. But those would have involved drive time, and they might have involved even an overnight stay if they were a couple days. But so we just wanted to get that discussion going with the city.
Is there interest on the commission to move this to the next step by putting it on a discussion item for a future meeting?
Yes.
And if there is, please make a motion in a second.
I make a motion that we put the request of a per diem for the URA members onto the agenda in the future.
Second.
So did you want some clarification?
Thank
You're welcome.
So are you looking for a per diem in addition to mileage and meals and hotel and actual daily rate of something to reimburse because you're not working?
Yes.
Is that, Eric, even legal in the fact that it's a volunteer? I mean, I would think that at that point they would become employees of the city.
So that's a question I can't answer off the top of my head. In fact, I was just looking at the urban renewal statutes, and I can provide you an answer certainly before,
Okay.
probably in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be out the rest of the week at a conference, but I will provide the answer.
Okay. Thank you. Do you currently have per diems for meals and those type of things?
We don't.
Okay.
We don't have anything.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have for meals, overnight, any of that. So, I guess we're open to it.
Mhm.
It was stated that, for me, I replace myself with a full-time employee for 8 hours for that day, which I have to pay in addition to going. And then, and I do realize this is a volunteer position. And then we do have some people that maybe aren't in that situation where they have to they replace themselves with somebody. But at this point, kind of, the lunches, the meals, all that would be very helpful. But yes, we're asking for a per diem for reimbursement for the day.
I have a question to add to the list of things to be answered, and that is where would the funding come from? And is it out of the URA or is that legal? And or is it out of the city coffer?
I guess the other thing to look at is our other volunteers that attend seminars will be setting a precedence then that every other, whether it's the tree fund or the, I'm not using the correct terminology, but any of the other volunteer boards or committees will, I would assume have to follow the same precedents.
If I may, I think most of this probably would be discussion items for that meeting. I think these are important things. But the other thing that I think we should at least request from the administration is to maybe get a list of how, of course, if any other volunteers are compensated, and if they were, what is the standard in a municipality?
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes.
There are certainly a few items we would have to research to be able to get back to you effectively. So I would like to request it go on the June 7th
Okay,
agenda rather than the next one, because we have a few things going on with the next one.
I don't think there's no urgency, right?
No.
Okay. That's good. Any other clarification? Okay. All right, thank you very much. Oh, Bob?
Could I just add something real quickly?
Sure.
Bob Evanger, live in Livingston, 128 South Yellowstone Street. I just want to say that some of these meetings and some postings we go to are really great as far as our exposure to Helena. Like thank you for my presentation on our URA's energy efficiency program. Got the cards from 4 different people from the Department of Agriculture. They now know that we have the program here. Future relationship we can develop by going and being able to do these presentations only helps the city.
Great. Thank you very much.
Are you gonna discuss the underpass or should I sit
Oh.
down? Sorry, that
Oh,
was not
yes,
in there.
that's right.
May I just ask one more question?
Yes.
Is this for, are you seeking this for special events or also for the routine meetings? that
No,
you
not the
organize?
routine,
Just
just
special.
special events, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
So-
Moving on to underpass.
So, and I, maybe I'm running a little bit different tact than URA for the underpass. The BID, which is the Building Improvement District. So it's the LBID actually. Anyway, we have went to great lengths to hire a person and retain a person to mitigate the graffiti that we get around town. And Randy has done an excellent job in doing that. We have, with outside of the district and on his own, just taken care of some graffiti that was in some very prominent places. We would like very much to see the underpass get taken care of before we have the Yellowstone Park Centennial celebration here in Livingston. It's it's a unique part of our city. Not very many know an underpass such as that. And right now the graffiti under there is terrible. This came up when we had a discussion about something else, and then I asked if we could talk about it. It has been talked about in the past, at least 2 years. It's been talked about, but we haven't seen any action. Randy is, if you want to choose Randy to do it, I know Randy is waiting to do it. He would do any part of it that you would like him to do. At this point, I believe he thinks to actually just go in there and spray it down so the surface is clean, and paint it is probably our best option. Painting is always the easiest way to cover up graffiti, is we paint over it. But he also would like, I'm not sure he suggests on that one that we put, there's a graffiti product that you can put on it and then you can wipe it off more easily. I'm not sure he thinks that's necessary in the underpass, because being all painted, he can just go in, put a Kills over it, which is a type of paint, and then he can paint it. And I just think it's really, really something that I don't think I stand alone in really wanting that taken care of before our celebration this summer. So.
Great. Carla, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Is there anything, clarification for Carla? Mr. Sandberg?
Because I don't walk that way, I rarely do. Is it offensive graffiti or is it just graffiti?
Some of it's offensive.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's definitely some words on there, what you call that kind of graffiti. But, you know, the kids went and did a mural of young people,
Right.
and then all of a sudden, there was a pregnant woman in there, and then all of a sudden, somebody put in a baby inside the pregnant woman. And yeah, I think it's done with, there's things now that are done with very little taste. So,
Yes, Bob.
Bob Evinger again. Yeah, I do walk under that underpass, not frequently, but I have done it. And not only is the graffiti disturbing, but the remnants of rather disgusting than I think a health hazard. So if we're going to be going and spraying down that, I suggest we have someone go and spray out the birds and at least start fresh.
Very much. Any other points of clarification?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Public Works, didn't we have a program that was supposed to take care of that, or am I wrong?
I've got it all covered. You want me to speak on it? So, we got two issues. We have the underpass, and it needs to be cleaned. We have the mural, and we have the pigeon problem. So, our street department personnel, we started pressure washing the underpass. It's obviously a slower process to get it all the way down to concrete. I don't think that's necessary. Certainly, we want to get all the chip paint off of that and get it painted with not an anti-graffiti, but certainly a type of paint that we can go in and easily paint over any graffiti that happens in the future. So we can do that. We have the equipment to do that. I would love that permission to make the mural go away if that's what the commission so desires. Start fresh. When I started 3 years ago, it was a topic of discussion, and it just kept ebbing and flowing. And at this stage, we have the equipment. We can make it go away. We can paint it over. And if there's a drive or community to repaint something, we can certainly try to help facilitate that. So that's on the underpass. So I'm looking for, like I said, just a direction from if it's okay to make the mural over. Pigeons, certainly when Ed was around, we started a pigeon task force. Judy really is the only person on that whole committee that has stood strong. Have to totally commend her. She's been in dealings with an outfit out of Missoula. We have a whole game plan. Now, pass is not our responsibility. That's MRL's. And actually, as of about 3 weeks ago, MRL has agreed to participate, in the project, and more importantly, they've agreed to do the underpass on their own. And so that's going to kind of coincide with cleaning it painted. The pigeon problem, like I said, it's a maintenance nightmare for Public Works. We're running our street sweeper, and they're constantly, every couple weeks in the summertime, we're closing it down and pressure washing it. But basically a half a day later, you can hardly tell we were even there. So, really excited about working with MRL and making the pigeon problem. That way we can use our other resources for attacking pigeons and some of the other problematic areas. So we have a game plan for that. It's just a matter of coming up with the funding, and an absolutely amazing job. The county, sanitarian, the county's agreed to participate in a rather large majority of the costs for the pigeon remediation work. So any other questions on underpass cleaning, painting, or pigeons?
So when you say MRL's on board with cleaning it up, or painting it, or just the pigeons?
Just the pigeon problem.
Just the pigeon problem. Okay.
Before we start speaking, as a chairman, I want to remind everyone to acknowledge first.
Sorry.
Commissioner Freed.
Believe it or not, my wife and I are little, but it was done by big brothers and big sisters. We're on that mural, unrecognizable. Mission to take care of it.
All right, thank you. Just so everybody knows as well, Craig Hahn, street superintendent, sent an email out earlier today. We're going to have street department staff again out there tonight from probably 9 to 1 o'clock in the morning, working on pressure washing the underpass. So we're going to strategically get it all cleaned up so we can get it ready to put a coat of paint on.
Commissioner Holden.
Did they mention or discuss MRL dealing with kind of the garbage or lead up on a landscaped area when you're coming into the underpass. And not on the front where the park is, but cleaning it up right there on the what side, west side of it.
So no, Judy's only talked to them about the pigeon problem.
Okay.
So
Well-
that's something that we need, in addition, need to talk to them about. We certainly can.
We, Ed and I met with them, so, couldn't tell you, 6 months probably, 8 months ago. And we discussed that with them. It's just something to think about because at that time, there was a lot of garbage, such as those big cans of creosote and different things like that, that were actually thrown off the tracks and onto almost our, our land. So if that could be added to the discussion with them, I can appreciate it.
Sure. I can use my resources, being a member of the Livingston Restorations Group to maybe facilitate that as well. So,
Thank you very much. Is there interest from the commission to move this discussion forward? Because I heard the request about funding for this project. Am I correct?
funding for the pigeon remediation.
Picture remediation. Would we like to move that discussion forward and have it as an agenda item on a future meeting? If we can't make a discussion during scheduled, we can make it during scheduled public comment. Commissioner Sen, I want to get this answered first. Can we put that on? Excuse me. I guess what we need is a motion. So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move this forward by putting it on the agenda. Maybe more cleanup of the underpass and
Pigeons.
pigeons.
Second. Okay. Commissioner Sanford.
Do we, I don't remember the premise of how the underpass was painted with the current mural. Do we want to make sure we make that public, that that's going to be painted over, or how do we want to handle that sticky topic?
Are we going to move forward, try to move forward on this before our next meeting?
So, no, we're gonna continue to, we have plenty of area to clean up and we can leave the mural as is for the time being.
Okay. So why don't we put that on?
I'm not saying it's an issue. I think you folks have been here longer, and I think we're around when that was done. So I just bring it up if anyone else thinks it's a concern or not.
Well, I think what we could do is discussion item about underpass and cleaning the mural and come up with some answers and so that the public's aware that we're going to discuss it.
Mr. Chair, if I may, we could also add the warming pot by the lagoon. There's a little hut that has a fish hanging on it, and there's chunks of it missing.
Oh, okay.
So we discussion.
There's a motion from the commission to add this to the discussion for the mural and the warming hut.
So moved.
Clear a second.
Second.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Okay. Taking care of all the important structures here in town tonight. This is good. I knew we'd figure some way to start. Any other thoughts before we move on?
Just on the per diem things, because it all seems to be lumped in here. Are we make a motion on that to?
Yeah.
We did, okay, that was all part of it.
Well, we did them separately.
Oh, we did?
Yes.
No, I didn't remember. Okay.
Okay. All right. Moving forward. There are no public hearings. There are no ordinance tonight. There is, however, one resolution, and that's resolution number 4653, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, to the donation of a Ford ambulance to the town of Clyde Park, Montana, and its fire department. Ms. Mullin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This ambulance that we are requesting to donate to Clyde Park, it's not working. It's not working. Okay. It's really bad.
Okay.
We're seeking to donate this ambulance. This is the purple and gold Ranger ambulance that was last used, I believe, at homecoming in one of the home football games. It is not sufficient for general use any longer as a response vehicle for us, for our purposes. Clyde Park has requested to use it up there for some of the limited responses that they do. So we are seeking to be able to donate this ambulance. This is also part of the EMS levy that we, as we replace our equipment, we pass it on to other departments within the county to help build their ability to respond to emergencies within their areas as well. If you need more detail, Chief Maston, I'm sure would be able to
Okay,
speak to.
well, let's see if we need some more detail here. Commissioner Sandberg.
So, on our CIP meetings that we've had recently, when a department like the cemetery received a vehicle from another department, it was spelled out very clearly that they had to pay for the value of that vehicle. I'm not opposed to the donation to Clay Park. I'm just trying to understand why the parameters have changed and we wouldn't be seeking a fee.
The levy requires that we donate these items as we are replacing items in our fleet, if you will, to be able to donate these items and pass them forward in a donated manner rather than a compensated manner. That's a condition of the EMS levy.
Thank you.
Are there other points of clarification? Commissioner Holcomb.
Thank you. Sorry. I would make a point of the last time we did this with the Cook City one. We had a lot of problems come from that. And so I just want to make sure that we're very clear.
The situation in Cook City was somewhat different. And we have a union agreement on this particular transaction already in place.
Good enough, thank you.
Other points of clarification. Chief, is there anything you want to add?
We're good.
We're good? Okay. Looks pretty imposing there.
I'm ready if you have a question.
Okay. All right. Any other points of clarification? Is there any public comment? Any clarification or comments from the public on this issue? Is there a motion from the commission?
I move to pass resolution number 4653. Second.
Okay, so motion by Commissioner Schwartz, second by Commissioner Friedman. The final commission discussion. Okay, roll call then.
Chairperson Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedman,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Four.
Commissioner Sandberg.
Four.
Motion passes. Moving on to our action items. Our first action item is to discuss approve, deny Colin Lauderdale of the Northern Plains Organization regarding Millennium Bulk Terminal MDT draft impact statement. Ms. Lally, should we just turn it over to Mr. Lauderdale? Okay, Mr. Lauderdale, how are you today?
Good evening, commissioners. I'm actually Justin Dolby, Livingston resident and a member of the Yellowstone Bend Citizens Council. Speaking on behalf of the Yellowstone Bend Citizens Council, which is an affiliate of the Northern Plains Citizens Council. We are tonight asking the commission to draft a letter to respond to an EIS that's going on. Two coal companies, Arch Coal and Lighthouse Resources, are applying for a permit to build an export terminal in Southwest Washington, actually in Longview, Washington, that would export about 44 million tons of coal. Am I right on that one, Colin? Which is about what we consume as a state, right? Produce as a state right now. So it effectively could effectively double the amount of train traffic, coal train traffic going through Livingston. Every single one of these coal trains would go through the city of Livingston. There is no other, the only other route is these coal companies to ship their coal from Wyoming to Bismarck, North Dakota, north to Minot, and along the High Line, which would be cost prohibitive for them. So what we were asking the commission tonight is to draft a letter, much like the letters, one dated December 8th, 2014, that was in response to the EIS for the proposed Tongue River Railroad. Very simple one-page letter with 3 points. Access, because the city is bisected by the rail line. This train traffic could be detrimental to crossing the tracks. Potential health hazards, as in exhaust and increased idle time, waiting for vehicles, diesel exhaust, and then also the noise from the trains and from the train whistles. And to be clear, this EIS it's an environmental impact study, and we would like to be included on that study. As it stands right now, the study that's being done by the Washington Department of Ecology is studying that export terminal is at, and the rail line from the export terminal to the border of Washington and Idaho, and nothing further. All of the coal would be coming from Wyoming and Montana. So we are asking, and any other communities need to ask to be part of this environmental impact study. So it's not trying to change what's going on right now, change the traffic that's coming through town now, or rip up the tracks or anything like that. It's just asking to be a part of this environmental study.
Okay. Are there any questions, clarification from the commission? Commissioner Sandberg.
So in reviewing the letter examples that are in the packet, the top two priorities are access and noise. The third potential health hazard was first diesel exhaust, addresses the issue of potential coal dust. The question I have is, if the city were to support this in writing a letter, what would happen if somebody was trying to increase train traffic due to passenger trains, where we would have the same issue of access, noise, and potential hazards of same listed here? Would, and I'm sorry, this may not even be a question for you, it may be a question for Eric. I just don't want to tie ourselves with this letter for future expansion in other areas we may want to see in the railroad.
So you're asking me to comment on what effect I think this potential letter would have on passenger rail service expansion in Livingston?
I'm just curious, if we make a declaration like this, based on the criteria that are listed, would other people not be interested in expanding, say, passenger rail service due to our denial of this request, or suggesting a denial?
Can't predict what other people are going to do in the future. But I suppose there's a chance that it can be used against us. But I don't know legally that it can be used against us as an admission or anything like that, but
Isn't this just asking to be included in the environmental impacts?
Yeah, it's very simply just being asked to be, it's not a proclamation for or against.
It's just asking
Whatever
to
we're
be
hauling.
included in the study
Correct.
to understand the impacts. So that may actually be beneficial for further conversations about other expansion if we have that environmental impact study already.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Commissioner Swartz.
Yes, this will be specific language like we did with the Tongue River Railroad too.
Correct.
Basically,
It'll be very similar,
Yeah,
as you see how similar these two letters
So
were.
it's not broad, it's so much broad in the, but specifically for its terminal.
Correct.
The other commission comments or clarification? Commissioner Hogan? I just have a couple of questions here. Now, on the tracks that we have here, can because MRL is the ones who own the tracks out through Livingston. Can they actually double the train traffic? Because I'm curious, because when we've heard from other sources, and even the other environmental sources, I don't think they said they could actually double the traffic. So I'm a little concerned about that, because I want to make sure that whatever our reasons, we're very accurate about it.
Right, so as it stands, if they utilize this export terminal to maximum capacity, it would be an increase of 16 trains per day in Livingston, 8 full and then 8 empties coming back. Correct?
So they're already, for coal, we're already at about 2 to 3 a day going and 2 to 3 a day coming back. So you're talking about 8 going, 8 coming back. And is there any accurate information that they would be using this line?
It's the only line in existence that, like I said, rather than taking that from Sheridan or from Wyoming up to Billings and then back over to Bismarck, up to Minot, and all the way back along the High Line, which there's not a terminal up there, they would have to shift back down to this line and then over again. So it's, as far as infrastructure, this is the line, much like I-90 is the corridor you can take on the highway.
James?
You have a question on that? Okay.
James, I might have some clarification on that.
I saw it before.
Oh, I understand. Some clarification for your question on the traffic.
So, I guess what I'm interested in, what is the maximum capacity of these lines with MRL?
That I'm not sure, Colin, I'm not sure.
You don't know what the maximum capacity is. That would be important for us to know, because if we're asking for an EIS for the total amount that they're determining, and I don't have the facts in front of me regarding that. I think that their maximum capacity as the rail lines stand right now are actually less than what you're determining this might be. So I'd like to get those facts before we proceed with the letter, at least for me. Commissioner Sanders.
Just to follow up, and I don't know if this is accurate, but maybe it's something we could look into, is I've heard, though, that the railroad is looking at expanding the track line here by 2 tracks, and that it's already started east in Billings and Laurel. And so that maybe in the letter we would want to include potential expansion as well.
Okay, so how can we verify all that?
I'm not. Lisa, do you have communications with MRL, or do we have anyone in the city that?
We've had some conversations on certainly a contact there that I can reach out to.
Okay.
And see if I can get the answer to the questions of maximum capacity of how many trains they can put through in a day, as well as any continuation of an expansion.
Gotcha. That'd be great.
Yeah, if they're expanding, then that makes a difference. All right.
Well, certainly.
Yeah. And then the only other last thing, are there any other communities within Montana or Idaho who have already made any requests?
I would have to defer to Colin. There's Helena, I believe.
I think I can lend some clarity actually on the previous question. So this is a proposed comment from Livingston on the draft environment, just asking for this agency in Washington that's carrying out the environmental impact statement to ask and answer these questions that you all have brought up. I hope that makes sense. So the
question are not gonna be answered until the EIS.
Well, I think you could certainly pursue the answers to the questions, and find them out faster than the final faster than the release of the final EIS. But in the draft EIS for this terminal, Livingston, though it will be impacted, is not included. So these questions are answered for communities that are bisected by the rail line, but they are not answered in the draft EIS. It's just a deficiency in the draft EIS, which is the reason for public comment in the draft EIS. They're not answered outside of the Washington border.
Well, where's the initial location of the coal being loaded from? Where's that initial spot? Where's that location?
Where are the mines?
Yeah, East Montana.
And northeast Wyoming. The Powder River Basin of Montana and Wyoming is where all of this coal would come from.
Because to do a complete EIS, they have to go all the way to the source.
Certainly, Yellowstone Bend and no complaints agree.
And that are applying for this permit to build bulk terminal, own the mines in Wyoming. So it's a push and a pull. They want to get it this way and out.
Okay. Commissioner Hoagland.
I feel like asking those detailed questions isn't what letters about personally. Having signed it off on it before, how I see it, and I want to make sure I'm seeing it clearly. Is we're asking the railroad to be thoughtful of their impact to our community. And in a study, and to be included in the study of that impact we have on us. Am I correct?
Correct. Not even the railroad is it. It is a railroad.
No.
The railroad and the traffic from the.
It's actually the government, actually.
Washington.
Washington
Right,
Department.
for the, but they're asking the railroad to look at their impact and look, and they're studying the impact that trail increased
Right.
rail
Keeping in mind
traffic has.
the impact that it has on all the, like I said, they're only to these railroad towns in Washington, and anything all the way to the mine is not, unless they draft a letter with inclusion to that study.
Well, and so going to that, I think it's extremely important that we're included.
I can bring up that really hits home for me is if, say, Gardner was going to do something that impacted the study to the Yellowstone. It may not impact them. We would certainly want to be involved with that if Gardner was going to put a sewage station or something right next to the river that could potentially be breached and flow through town here. That's how I can understand it, I guess. It's not a proclamation for or against. We know that the only rail that this coal could travel on runs through our town.
And I know that's why in the past, when this initial letter was supported by all 5 of us as a commission, it was just because we want to be considered in that impact study.
Right, whether it's 1 or 8 or whatever it is.
Or 22, which.
It's important enough to do the study on this same rail line from the Washington border to the coast. In my mind, it makes sense that it should be the entire rail line. Unfortunately, we can't petition to have the whole rail line in the study. We can only be responsible for the city of Livingston.
Any other comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, that's an excellent description. Nothing has really changed. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
that we
So,
went to years ago.
So on the Tongue River letter that was sent out, what has been accomplished so far? Tim, on that?
Well, that was just defeated, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Defeated as. I mean,
They
both
couldn't
the
get to the
companies
tribal
that were asking for it have filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah, ours
Just
coal
happened.
files.
Okay, so the
Correct, the VIS was never finished at the time of approval.
Started, but not finished.
All right, well, is there a motion? We have to have a motion to vote on something.
I'll move to, I word this, to approve a letter for the, EIS study.
I'll second.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second. Motion by Commissioner Schwartz, second by Commissioner Hoagland. Public comment.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Is there any public comment?
I just wanted to
You know,
read.
you have to come up and announce yourself and sign in, and you gotta go through a whole list of things.
So I'm Susan Regal, I live in Livingston. I do my dress. 729 North C Street. And my comment just is really, it seems to me the choice is, do we want to weigh in on our fate, or do we want to just say, oh, do whatever, you know, we're not going to really weigh in on our fate with this. So I think it's really important. I talk to a lot of people, and it's really important that we always, you know, say, yes, we're interested, we want to be part of the study. So I just want to reinforce that. I think you're going to probably go that way anyway, I don't know. So I think a lot of people are very concerned that we do always say, yeah, if this something is going to affect us, we want to have a say, we want to be recognized.
Right. Is there any other public comment? Yes, Tricia.
Thank you. I want to say, pleased I was the night that this commission voted to participate in the EIS study before, because the primary argument was that it allows us a voice. Otherwise, we don't have the opportunity to ask questions and all the other amenities that come with having made some sort of commitment. So it was a really significant night, I thought, for this commission. The other thing I wanted to say quickly about rail passenger service, because it's so dear to some of our hearts. I don't think this would have any impact. The rail passenger service that we are advocating for is almost non-polluting. It is, there's a lot of things that are going for it that would not occur in some of the questions asked of cultures. So it's an entirely different, a horse of a different color. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any other commission comment? Roll call.
Chairperson Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Holton,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedman,
Four.
Commissioner Schwartz.
Cool. Motion passes. Okay, action item B, discuss, approve, deny Chris Baskin to discuss his concerns surrounding unpaved portion of Summit Street. Chris here tonight? Is he ever here? Okay. Okay, is there any commission discussion? Anyone want to have any comments on that at all?
I think, Mr. Chair, is there something set aside for this in the future and that we're talking about as far as Summit goes?
We do have an amount. We're encountering another issue on Sun Avenue, and we may have to reallocate funds to repair the issue there, but it's certainly something that we can look at probably sometime mid-summer after the start of the fiscal year as a repair. there because of those flares. But we can certainly table this and try to reach out to see if,
Or second, it's about.
Yeah, if I may, I used to live on Summit, and there's a couple of things to think about. Both sides of the hill up there are a problem. But the thing with Summit is that they're the soccer fields, and they're building quite a complex up there, so something that, but there was never anything set aside to build. I mean, the whole thing fell through the thing many years ago. When they built it, but there was no provision for it. Whereas down further on Montana and other places, they had a separate deal for that. The builders didn't include that, and that cost the people money who built the homes there. But this was never done in any particular. So, but it's going to be a critical place. It's going to be very heavy traffic in the future. So, but I had talked to our interim city manager the other day, and there is something for us to think about there. You know? So I think that'll happen.
Mr. Sandberg?
Just clarification, so the situation like this, what determines whether it becomes to us on the agenda as an action item or public comment?
It was requested to be placed on it by Dustin. And if a citizen requests something to be discussed, it doesn't necessarily require a motion or a second. I think we had it last.
But I'm just trying to determine why it comes as an action item and not public comment.
Because we can make a decision on whether to move forward or apply funds or, what requests the administration to come back with.
Right.
Other type of things.
Yeah, I understand the difference between and public comment. I'm trying to understand when somebody requests to have something on the agenda, how is it determined whether it comes to us as a public comment or an action item?
Generally, we make the determination in administration of whether the person who's going to be speaking is going to request that you all take action to remedy whatever the issue may be. If there's no action requested, they just want to make comment, or there is not action that needs to be taken imminently, then it'll be a scheduled public comment. If it's something that they're going to request you all to take a vote on, then we'll put it as an action item.
Okay.
And it was my understanding that Mr. Batson was going to make a direct request that this street be repaired. So that's why it was placed where it was.
Thank you.
Any other commission comment? The only thing I'd like to mention on this is that this is a promise that we've been making to the citizens of Summit Street for at least 6 years, as far as I know, to repair this street. Well, I've been here 6 years and I know what we've been discussing. I've been discussing this with the city manager for 6 years. So, and this is the part of Summit Street that's on the other side of the hill, not on the soccer field side of the hill. It's up by Main Street that got just resurfaced.
Yes.
No, it's the other end.
The other end.
It's between Main and B Street.
Main and Main Street.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's the block that citizen Eugene Rainey.
No, it's only,
Yeah, that's been the discussion for years.
No,
so, yeah, I started
Oh, I know what you mean.
talking, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay.
So anyway, there's something that we need to remedy. And so, I'm very interested in seeing where the funds are going to come from and when they can be available for remedying this situation. So that's something we're going to table, and maybe the administration can get some more information on that.
And in the meantime, Mr. Chair, we'll reach out to Mr. Jackson.
Yeah.
And get some notes to come back.
Yeah, and if he doesn't want to discuss it, that's fine, but we need to discuss how we're going to remedy that situation because I took Clint Tinsley up there my first year of being on the commission, and we talked about it. And I talked about it several times with the former city manager, and it was promised to be done 2 years ago for sure, when we did the Main Street project. So, public comment on this?
Yeah, Mike Gomez, 611 North D Street. I live on that street and I take something to get to my house. But one time the city had to left over pavement, right? And they paved it. And when they redid the sewers here, they tore it out. So it's gravel now. So the problem is right between Main Street and C Street, it gets washed out pretty frequently. You get all kinds of washboard there in this particular spot. So, like I said, one time we had a little pavement there, but it got tore out. So it was kind of nice having the pavement for a while.
You know, the reason it got torn out is because the slope of the street spilled it into a couple of properties where they would get flooded every time it rained or the snow would melt. So they took the street out, made it, and re-engineered it as part of it. So anyway, I'd like to get on the agenda. We'll find out when we can get it on the schedule to redo.
We'll do some research of our funding, our schedule of items, report back and subsequent.
Sounds great. Okay. Okay, action item C, discuss, approve, deny fee waiver request from Livingston Area Chamber of Commerce for Park County Days.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for listening to me this evening. Leslie Feigl, Livingston Executive Director. The reason why I'm here tonight is because we're basically because of the 2016 National Park Services Centennial that's occurring this year. We have been asked by the Office of Tourism as a gateway town to be able to show our support for the National Park Services in Yellowstone. And this was something that I dreamt up late at night, and it was a week-long event. We are the only gateway city doing a week-long event. Yellowstone is doing a 2-day, and just a few others are doing 1-day events. But the reason for this is that, you know, Park County has a lot to offer, and we have a lot to show off, and this is being shown off nationally. We're very excited about the event that's going to take place down in Gardner on the 25th. But for the 21st, the 14th through the 21st, we created a week-long event as well as on the 25th here. And there are 3 days during this week-long event that we need a little assistance. I have kind of before we started creating this and asked that the city be a part of this, asked that I went in front of the county commission as well and asked that they support this event as well. I've spoken with other official people that actually, you know, are going to have a say in this and having a part in this. And this is overwhelmingly going to be one of the most awesome events. We have hotels that are already booking up. We have campgrounds that are already full for this week. We have people coming into town on that weekend. We thought, geez, what else was to bring them in here a little earlier, let them spend an extra long vacation, create a little extra funds for the people and the businesses here in Livingston and Park County. The reason why we're holding the first years here in Livingston is because of, well, I'm here. And I'm new at this job, so this was going to be easier for me. I've had a lot of support from Big Timber, Clyde Park, Wilsall, all the way down to Cook City, Gardner, and everywhere in between. And the reason why I'm here asking about this today is that on for free. I'm getting a little bit of support from the Yellowstone country. Businesses are going to be benefiting because they're not going to have to pay for anything except for the farmers market on Wednesday. We actually have one of the days is going to be a fundraiser. That's going to be the Battle of the Bands. And the list goes on. If you go to the Park County Days website, you can see everything that's involved in these. And I'm sure you've all had a chance to take a look at the website. There are 3 days that on the application that are going to cost fees. And that is for the park, for Miles Park and the band shell. That'll be the 14th. That will be the 20th. And that'll be the 25th. The 25th is the actual event of the Centennial down in Gardner. It is a 2,000 ticket event. Nobody else is going to be involved. That means you have nowhere else to go. And that means we're going to do it here. We're going to have a picnic in the park, And we are gonna have a big screen that's being generated, and we're gonna blast it live via MTOT, Office of Tourism, excuse me. And as well as the event coordinators down in Gardner. And so we'll be able to see the event via live stream at 7 p.m. The event starts at 3 o'clock. So 3 different days. I'd like to ask the commission if you could waive the fees use as well as the garbage cans. We figured we're doing it pretty minimal. 8 cans, 4 and 4 on each side of the park, as well as there's some extra cans that are over by the city center. So that's what I'm asking for.
All right, are there any clarifications from the commission? Any questions? Commissioner Sam?
Is there a recommendation from administration?
The total request of this is $679 being waived. This is a large event potentially for our community that may bring other secondary economic benefit. So the administration at this point would be in favor of waiving for this particular event, the centennial events, we will certainly be in favor of waiving these fees.
Commissioner Holcomb?
Chair. I know we've had this discussion recently, and that there's some conflict, and are we going to waive all the fees or part of the fees? I know the last time we waived fees, we did half and half. I just wanted to point that out. But do you see any other requests coming as far as fees so that we can think ahead? And
For Park County days, no. And the reason why I'm asking for a complete fee waiver on this is because the chamber and the CBB are putting this on with you, with the county as well. This is something that we're all doing together. And that's kind of like my bottom line on that. If we're all going to do this together, I'm putting in my time, a lot of time and effort. I'm getting people to do things for free. I've got marketing going all the way to the state level. We're actually being marketed nationally at this point, and I'm doing this in my free time. So I'm kind of going, maybe just consider that this is something we're all putting together. Now, as to other events, there are other events the chamber is involved with that we do the road closures. The parade is one of them, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks on that one. Those are all reductions, as well as garbage services and the hoot, because we as well do the road closure, which is actually the next agenda item. But this is the only 100% fee reduction that I will ask. Guarantee.
Well, and I just want to state that I'm a huge supporter of community events. I go to a lot. I go every week to something. So I feel like this is a great event that you guys are creating, and I'm proud to be part of the community that's creating it. So, and like Lisa said, the fact that we see it as a benefit to more than just one entity, obviously, and that's not just the chamber, but the community as a whole, and the downtown, and all kinds of things, businesses, hotels, whatever. So, I like it.
Commissioner Schwartz?
And I do notice that you are looking for sponsors for the porta potties, the wash stations and stuff, so.
Flyers, banners.
Yeah, and stuff like that, so we're just looking at the garbage.
And then there's something for the bench.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Small potatoes. I didn't.
Any other comments? Public comment. Public comment. Looking for a motion.
I move fee waiver request for the Park County days.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Schwartz, second by Commissioner Friedman. Further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Hogan?
Yes.
Commissioner Coogan?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Four.
Commissioner Sandberg?
Four.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. Now you stay there, right?
Yeah.
Discuss approve deny fee waiver requests from the Livingston Area Chamber. For the-
Actually, the second sentence says, at least a lower amount. Last year it was $200, that we were told that we have to pay for the, street closures mostly. And there was a reduction in garbage cans. So this time the who's gonna be bigger, obviously, because we have Vince Gill coming and Rodney's coming back. The street closure is not gonna take the third block. It is just gonna come down first block, second block, and then kind of go across. I would like a clarification from John. I was not able to reach him because of his tour. It is supposed to go across Lewis to the alley, and my concern with that, and shoot myself in the foot here, but having emergency services be able to come up, and they would just have to do like a little needle, hairpin to be able to get back down the street. I needed a clarification, and the phone did not ring today. But it is only supposed to be the first and second block. So that's 1, 2 closures, and then 2 side closures. So the $700, unfortunately, I don't have a copy in front of me on the breakdown. The only other thing is the garbage cans. Last year there were 35 garbage cans, and this year we were asking for more because there's going to be more people. I think having more garbage cans is always better, and having to pay less is even better, since you heard my spiel already. You already know about the who, how great it is.
Never hurts for asking. So tell us the numbers and
For the street closures, it was $300 for street closures, 50 garbage cans at $8 each, pretty much 400, so that's how we got to $700. There has historically been a lot of work entailed for the Public Works Department in setting up the street closures, taking down the street closures, the garbage cans. So this is one that, while we are supportive of a fee reduction, I would not be supportive of a complete waiver just because there is such involvement with our Public Works Department, and the city is absorbing most of that cost on a time and a half over time basis. Just to be aware of these costs, but there are also staff costs on top of it that the city absorbs, and these do not fully cover. But we would be in favor, obviously, because it brings in economic development, and for the community, and certainly do our part in terms of being a sponsor of this event. But I could not advocate for the full set of
Mr. Sandberg.
Just a clarification for Lisa, like that, regardless of what they are, it didn't seem to me, even with the $700, that would cover our expense, even if we charged them the full fee. And just for my clarification, do we just budget for special events in the budget to take care of situations like this?
we absorb it through our overtime budgets.
Any other commission clarification? Commissioner Hopewell?
I just have a statement. I have to say, last year, I went to that again. And then the next morning, we walked downtown and I was shocked and very happy at how beautiful it looked and how clean, and the city did a great job. I think I pointed that out another time, but I wanted to say it.
So, and also our community volunteers in the system in that effort to clean up the downtown as well after the event. So,
Randy, you can just on the knees. They were there until in the wee hours cleaning it up. But 35 cans is what they utilized last year.
And what's the estimated attendance this year?
This year, last year was close to 8,000 on the estimation. It's not like they can sit there and count the heads, but we counted between how many beds were filled in the hotels and campgrounds and whatnot. People from out of town, There was nearly 67% ate at the downtown restaurants, and then they kind of broke it out into how many people in Livingston, and the remainder were from the outside areas. And so the figures all came in around 8,000, 7,000 to 8,000 this year. We are easily going to hit at least 10,000. And the reason being is we're seeing people come from out of the area and all over the county. You know, people from Billings have already to coming over. There's chamber members over there that I can't remember. So this is a big event. I think it's just because of the draw. I think because of Vince Gill and Rodney Carroll coming back.
Further clarification from the commission? Question I have, I think, I want to see if any other commissioner, unless Commissioner Hoagland or Commissioner Freeman, who is the coordinator for this event?
The coordinator and Joanne Gardner, and it's their Mighty Fine Time Productions.
I think last year when we were discussing this, and I'm not sure, we asked for them to consider making sure this was in their budget.
Yes. Last year's budget, they had a few problems with, and you know, promissory people saying they were going to donate, and it didn't follow through like the day of. Unfortunately, so I understand.
Is the event free to the public?
The event is free to the public, and
Who pays for all the bands?
the reason why, pardon?
Who pays for all the bands? Sponsors.
So it's all sponsorship.
Okay,
And
so anyway, I think last year, the only comment I want to make on this is last year, we waived half the fees, but we requested that the event coordinator be informed that they needed to figure out how to put this back in their budget for next year. And I'm just wondering what happened.
Well, that's a good question, and I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. But basically what I'm saying is that at the chamber, because we are using our street closure, our insurance to be able to close the streets, it was $200, and that was something that was doable by us, and a reduction in garbage cans. I certainly think that this is something that, you know, if you want more information on, we can definitely revisit this if we have to. Now that John is back from his-
Urgency?
I mean, what's that mean? That's in August.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The
I
parade
guess my
starts.
concern is that, you know, we're going to get lots of requests for cutting our services down. You know, it does take a lot of effort for our staff to do that type of work. And we kind of reluctantly reduced it last year with the idea that this year they were going to have it in their budget.
I can definitely address that with him and then
Yeah.
revisit this.
Please do.
Okay.
I think that's really important because we gave a whole year for people to plan on that.
Okay.
I think
Absolutely.
find out, you know, if we can, you know, have some, you know, I agree that it's a great, all these events are very good, but they do put, there is a lot of effort on with these, you know, to coordinate all these efforts. I think the city closure is run by the police department, am I correct? The street closure? Public Works.
Then there's additional, obviously, in an event of this magnitude, there's also additional police that need to be on. And
Right. So
So
that's
it's
all.
not the full impact of,
So anyway,
And
I
the
think
other
we need-
portion on that was, it was in the application as well, that was something that was supposed to be discussed, and I think it would be good to bring up next time. Has to do with the open container alcohol laws in the street event.
we need to know.
Do you remember that from last year?
it's a request to
Oh, let people walk around in the area.
Not be enforced for the duration of the concert itself, which started at 5-ish until 10, unless there was a necessary need to step in if there was an altercation or whatnot. But for general walking around with the cups of beer and whatnot that are going to be sold, and with walking glasses into the street.
Yeah, I remember when hours, you know, like we were given the start and the finish hours.
Right.
And it was approved.
Okay,
So last year.
okay.
So is that part of this request as well?
It is in the special. So,
Okay,
so when we bring it back with additional information, we can address that piece.
sounds
So
great.
all of that will be in one set.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll revisit this next meeting.
Leslie, do you want to let me know when you're able to reach Joanne and John, and then we can talk about it, to get it back on the agenda?
Yes. I can let you know tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you very much. All right. Action item E. Discuss, approve, deny request from Urban Renewal Agency, URA, to revisit the city proposed contribution of $3,000 to each building owner for vault rehabilitation or filling. Is that you, Carla?
Yes.
Okay.
So, this has been kind of brewing. We had a meeting called by Rob Gilmore that took place at the Pickle Barrel, and James was there, and Shannon was there, and I was there, and Rob was there. And we want to see us be able to move forward with the CIP, and being able to do that involves getting the vaults. Rob is willing to go after hopefully 50% of the cost of the vaults in a grant. And he's pretty darn positive that he believes he can get this grant. He then is asking the URA to fund 25% of it. And it was more than that, it was about 40% of it at one time. And our general discussion with our board basically said that we weren't gonna do 40%. But, so now he's got it, so the URA would get a grant for 50%. The URA would fund 25%, and that hasn't been discussed with the URA yet, so that's yet to happen. But, and then they would like the URA to give, to be paid back at a low interest for the other 25%. And our biggest thing is, we would like to see the city, they've already said that they would do $3,000 to every home, business owner that has a vault. And so, I don't know where to go with an example, but I'm gonna use me and the building next to me. And we don't have, it's maybe not a real good example, but the building next to me has a 25-foot storefront. And if that was going to be filled in and the sidewalk's 12 feet, so they do 25 feet by 12 feet, $3,000 might be a little drop. It would make a little bit of an impact for them. For me on a corner, if my vault wrapped around my whole corner, I have the 25 feet storefront on Main Street to worry about. Then I have 25 feet that goes down my building 4 times. And so $3,000 is nothing that are in that situation. So what was discussed at that meeting was we would like to see there be a compensation from the city for those people that have more than just a 25-foot by 12-foot storefront. And it seemed at that meeting that James was there and Shannon was there, that might be a possibility. So what we would like to ask the city for, Mike, I said Mike?
I wanted to clarify that.
Yes. So there, that's why it got put on the agenda though, is because we would like the city to look at that and see if they could come up with more money. Because with all this going on, I can stand very firm that the URA believes there needs to be more of a buy-in from the city instead of just relying on us to try to, because we can't do it. The whole project is about $850,000, and we do not have that kind of money, nor as a board member on the URA spend all the money that we do have for seven to nine building owners that have vaults. I can't do that because there's roughly 100 people that pay in, 100 building owners that pay into the URA. So we would like the city to come up with a different compensation to building owners that do have the vaults. So we can get the CIP back on track and moving again.
Bob, you got something to add to that?
Yeah, just briefly. Bob Edminger again. We're going to have a meeting at 6 o'clock on the 12th between the City Commission, URA, and the property owners involved. I'm not sure who else is going to be involved, who you're inviting there. I think we're going to have this discussion on the idea of getting a grant for 50% of it. So I kind of think this might all work its way out, hopefully, so we figure out who can give what, because I agree with Carla, URA, everybody says URA has money, let's do it. I just don't think that's the best use of all of our money. I'd like to have us be a participant. I think we all have to be participants in this. Because it's been off since 2008. It's about time to sit down and we figure out how we're going to deal with this so we can get the CIP back on track again.
Right. I did want to clarify, Carla, that my request was, we'll put it before the commission and let them discuss it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Of
I
course.
didn't know how the commission would think about something like this. So, are there?
Where's the meeting?
Is that
Where's the meeting? Here.
on the call?
Yeah, it's here. It's on our calendar.
Commissioner Sanders.
During that meeting, will we hear about the, maybe? Or
Yeah,
should we?
Mr. Gilmore is going to be at that meeting and he intends to comment on the grant he's applying for and some other, I guess, the details surrounding the application.
And my ignorance, who's Rod Gilmore?
He's the Northern Rockies Economic Development District facility.
Okay, thank you.
Any other commission comments? I have, are you good? Okay, I do have some questions. I think if I may talk. Shannon, when we were, did you run any numbers? If we were to follow this formula, I think the formula right now for all the vaults in Livingston would, as we stated before, is about $75,000 that the city is administering.
That is correct. I mean, the city commission in 2013 approved that.
Approved the $3,000. Now, if we were to look at the, the front storefront and the corners or whatever there may be as far as an additional, have you had a chance to look at that as far as what if each section was given a $3,000 appropriation, what would that come out to? Do you know what that is?
Certain commission. All right. So, first of all, I've learned a lot since 2013. So, really, where the $3,000 came from then was based on three estimates. Two vaults that were filled in on Park Street from MDT, and then the vault at the Livingston Bar and Grill that was in our 2013 CIP project, Main Street project. So at that time and currently, we still have, the only information we have on the vaults per se is the CTA study that was done in 2008, and then more recently the Bodette study that focused on basically. So, and just looking at what we've learned on Calendar Street and the CTA study, what we've gathered there is if we went to 3,000 feet or dollars per 25 feet, we're looking at about $190,000 city contribution. And if we go to 3,000 per 50 feet, we're looking at 5,000.
You say 195,000?
190,000.
190, or,
And there again,
25
this
foot.
is,
yeah, I know, it's pretty rough.
we didn't put any contingency or anything like that on, so. And then at 50 feet, would it be 93,000, 95,000?
Any more handout?
We did make copies of the spreadsheet that Matt did, that are we're basically getting these numbers off of. So, there again, like I said, you know, the downtown PER, touched on the vault situation, certainly the CTA study did. It was a more comprehensive study. I certainly encourage, probably anybody in attendance on the May 12th, meeting to maybe look that document over or bring a copy of it. Where we got our numbers in 2013, if you go through the spreadsheet on the CTA study between partial and where they confirm there's a vault, that adds up to the 25 that we came up for the 3,000 to equal to 75.
Sandberg.
What, I was thinking of too many things at the same time. What was the document you said we should review prior to the meeting?
It's the CTA, it's the sidewalk reconstruction study. It is on the city's website under documents of interest.
Okay, and can I just seek a clarification from the 850,000? Where did that figure come from? The Bodette study.
Same study he's talking about.
But the CTA and Bodette are separate, right?
They are separate studies, and the Bodette study was primarily just on the Calendar Street corridor. So there are some other vaults that are in the CTA study that were not included in the Bodette study.
And the Bodette is online as well?
It is not. No, that is not there yet. That was something that the downtown vault solicited and administered through a grant through the URA. So we do not have that on the city's website yet.
Is there a way we can?
Pardon?
Don't you have a handout that has to go down?
No, I don't. That was something.
URA.
Yeah, that was something.
Can the URA put it on their website? Or how can we get access to it prior?
Lisa, test it.
We can put the Bodette study on there, probably on the URA site, which will use us so we can distinguish where it's coming from.
I think typically before we put it on the documents of interest on the website, from my understanding, it's something that we take in front of the commission and have them accept as a document.
You should go on the URA website.
It might not be able to on Monday.
I can make sure, I mean, I can have certainly, the city manager have a PDF of that she could forward to the commission if time is of essence on that.
Yeah, whatever's easiest.
Sounds good.
And do we get copies of that?
Pardon? Of the spreadsheet?
Yeah.
I split my spots.
And
Yes.
Shannon, does this take into consideration all vaults? Every single vault?
All the vaults that are in the CDs that have been addressed, either partial or ones that they've confirmed.
All the vaults that we are aware of. Correct? I'm not aware of any
Yes.
vaults that we don't know are.
So, for example, the vault in front of the Adagio was not in the CTA study.
So there are some,
So there are some vaults that probably are out there that are not in the CTA study.
okay, so that cost me more
Yes.
based on our discovery of other vaults.
Yes.
Okay. So we can put little plus signs at the end of these numbers.
Subject to change.
Oh, boy. This is a subject that changes a lot. So what's the commission's pleasure regarding this subject? Oh, Ms. Lally, you have something to add to this?
I was just going to suggest that you have the time set aside on May 12th. So
So we'll
maybe we just
have a
we'll
discussion
put
then.
that on the 12th.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
So we're informed. We've had a little discussion, so we'll continue it on the 12th. Is that correct? Okay. Sounds great. Oh, we have another question. Commissioner Sandberg.
Is it proposed that action will be taken on the 12th, or is it fully informational only?
It's informational only, so what I think is we'll get more information on the numbers, what it's gonna cost, the grant, what that could cover, and then we have more information to perhaps in the future, this, or rediscuss this $3,000
Okay,
allocation.
thank you.
All right. We go. Oh, I knew I had another question. Is there any way to discover where every single vault is? I thought we had a comprehensive list of every single vault. We don't? Is that a negative?
Once we finish reconstructing downtown, we'll know.
Once you uncover all the sidewalks, you'll know, right? Ooh,
So basically, Main Street is included in this CIP, right?
So
Or is it? No, you have the mid part, just nothing south of, east of Challenger.
I do think, obviously, the CTA study has a really nice map and then the spreadsheet. And I think something that really would help us all out is as part of this meeting, we actually put it on a lot of the business owners now. We work with the fire department and the fire inspection asset of our part of the fire department, and just to kind of confirm. And some of these are very noticeable, not noticeable at all. Very small openings.
This is hidden gems.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Okay, action item F. Discuss, approve, deny July 5th, 2016 City Commission meeting and whether we reschedule or cancel the meeting. Okay. Commission, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
Yes.
I just,
Yeses have it. What is it? Commissioner Sandberg.
well, I was the one who requested it put on the agenda. I guess my question is, I defer to your experience in the past and how many items we really need to discuss during that time. I don't want to skip a meeting and then have a 6-hour meeting to make up for it, but I guess I would just defer to your experience.
Well, what we've done, we have canceled meetings in the past, where we've canceled one of the meetings. And usually the request from the commission, the administration is just that we don't want to have a gargantuan meeting the next one. So what we would do is, since we're taking a look at this a couple of months in advance, the administration will have a chance to adjust items to put them on before and after that meeting, so that we aren't being excessive about our meeting.
Okay, because I remember last week after our CIP2 that Jesse was stating that the budget probably wouldn't come to us prior to end of June, so I would assume that would come in July.
Most likely, yes. For the last one in June. But it may potentially be in second meeting in July.
Okay, okay, or, I would throw out there, I'd be open for an hour or two work session if it was on an off day to discuss that as well.
We could look at that as well, depending on what the time of the budget is.
So the budget will come to us once for initial approval, with the caveat that will come back with a public hearing. So it will be reviewed by the commission twice before a final vote. The public will have a particular evening to make comment on anything about the budget. The budget will be an approval by the city commission, but correct me if I'm wrong, anything that may have a rate increase connected with the budget, will we do that before or after the budget approves? I think it's before. Yeah, we're going to see anything that has a rate increase to it come before the commission and the public as a public hearing before that process, before the final approval of the budget. So,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
if a motion is made to move forward with canceling the July 15th,
don't get too excited now.
try not to. If it could just include the understanding that we would still pay claims, apply them in the following weeks. I don't want to hold up payment of our bills. We're not having them. So it would be ratified in the subsequent. Just that understanding.
For the forewarning. Good catch this thing. All right, so is there a motion for the commission to cancel or reassign the date?
Leave up to the administration.
What?
Well, I guess, do we, yeah,
Make a motion.
I make a motion that we cancel the July 15th.
Is there a second?
second,
Any other discussion from the commission? Any other points of clarification? Commissioner Sanford?
Just do the paying of the claims in the motion.
As long as we just all understand.
Okay, I didn't know if it needed to be in the motion.
Yeah, because we're not going to be approving claims. All we're doing is we're being informed that the claims will be paid, and then we'll have an approval ratification after that. In that regard. So, great question. Public comment? That's it. Okay, no more comments. Okay. I was just teasing. This is about this action item.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, we're not at the end of the
We're
meeting.
almost there.
We're almost there. Yeah, you're hopeful. You heard public comment. So excited. Okay. So, city manager comments, Ms. Lowry? Oh, we didn't vote yet? Oh, sorry, gosh. I thought it was a done deal. Okay, roll call, please.
Chairperson. Yes. Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz.
no.
Commissioner
I gotta say no once in a while.
Okay,
Sandberg.
Or
motion passes.
Just to be nice. Right. I did vote against something.
Okay. Right, city manager comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just grants, the Tiger grant has been submitted. We've received official confirmation that it has been received. Given the challenges we had last time, to ensure that everyone understood fully that it is there for consideration. Our TSEP grant for the wastewater treatment plant and reclamation,
Water reclamation facility.
water reclamation facility. That has also been submitted, both electronically and hard copy mailed this morning for consideration of that. We'll be moving on to a rural development grant, which may provide some additional funding for the water. And I will also be looking at another funding option for the underpass called a fast lane grant, which there's some detail in it that we have to work out, how it would interact with any potential type of funding that should we receive type of funding. It also has a little bit more aggressive construction timelines, so some things we need to look at as we move forward in considering that grant as well. At the next commission meeting on the 17th, I will not be here. It is my daughter's at the high school, so she's graduating this year. So Eric has graciously agreed to hold double duty that evening. The hammer down. And for anyone who has small children that need swimming lessons, the online registration for swim lessons is currently open on available on the city recreation website. So,
Excellent. Okay, congratulations to your daughter.
thank you.
Commissioner Sandberg,
No, thank you.
Commissioner Schwartz,
No, thank you.
Commissioner Friedman.
Yes. Quentin and I are trailing to billings for the elected officials once a year meeting. We're looking forward to that. I will be going to Florida on May 28th for my grandson's graduation down in Tampa. I will be coming back the 7th, but probably late at night, so it'll probably, unless we get back to the June 7th city commission meeting. And I want to commend the administration for their work on the Tiger grant. They get in early. And everybody concerned with those, a lot of hard work. So congratulations on that.
Very much. Mr. Hoffman.
I was going to bring up the rec department. I went to register our kids online for a camp or 2 camps that they're offering, which I was so. But I also noticed when I was looking that the opportunities that we're offering as a city rec department have increased, 4 times in the past 4 years, I would say. So I was impressed. I was happy. I think it reflects our community and more than just with just kids. There's a lot of communities for other people. So I wanted to point that out. Another thing is there was a big fundraiser at Chico that was sponsored by Chico and Second Street Ribbon Shop House. And they had organized it. It's called hashtag We Will Listen. I don't know if you saw any of it. About suicide awareness, and I went to that event, and Clint was there as well. So, on Sunday, it was a lovely event to raise money for more access to awareness for in struggling with depression and suicide thoughts. So it was a great event and another great reflection of our community, I think, and how we come together.
Very much. Just a couple things. The skate park had a great skate-a-palooza. That was their biggest one so far. Raised a lot of money for a fundraiser. And then cool skateboard artwork they're still selling till what, May 13th? Yeah, that was really good art there. I don't know if anyone had a chance to look at it, but pretty nice. So they're continuing moving their process forward, trying to get all the funding they need to hold a permanent skate park. So I think they're nearing their halfway mark, which is pretty good. Then I did have a question. We did get that email yesterday about the depot. Is there anything that we need to do as far as making any decisions there?
Not at this point, Mr. Chair. The representatives from the people are currently setting up a meeting for middle of next week.
Okay.
Their scheduled availability is not for this week, so we'll be getting together by next week.
Right. And then the last thing I have is got a letter from Mr. Dickerson of the LYSA, Skillman Trust. So can we, I would request, I'd like to make a motion that the agenda, or is that too soon?
And we can check with Jesse in terms of that salmon trust,
Okay,
just to be certain, if I can get it on the next one. Motion is okay, no, I'll put it on myself.
Okay. and you received this letter as well.
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
I have no other further comments. So let's see, what else do we have here? Is it adjournment or public comments? Okay, public comments, Patricia, you're on.
I always liked you. Just a quick question. My understanding was that the new city commission manager person is going to be in town. I think you said it was May 18th. I love your list. Thank you so much for this calendar. That's really appreciated it. I don't think that his visit is there on that list.
It's not at this point because I'm still confirming actual times of when portions of what his agenda is for that visit. So that will appear and be put it on our website and put it on our social media as well as public notification.
Okay. Because I know the community is really, in what kind of venue would we have to meet this person? You have an idea?
At this point on the agenda, there is the city commission interview portion, which is a public meeting. And I think I sent you an email about this as well, Patricia. That portion is an open meeting, so they would be taking public comment at the end. Public's opportunity to meet this candidate, see the interaction with the commission, and provide feedback and commentary.
I really appreciate that, and I appreciate the public notice on that. I think people are really anxious to see who this candidate is, so it's appreciated. Thank you.
Very welcome. Any other public comment? Anyone else have any public comment? Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
This meeting of the Livingston City Commission is adjourned. 8:24.
Thanks, all pretty good. We don't bear much stuff.